episode of Waratah Cove, episode 8. I'm so sorry it's taken so long. Life definitely got in the way in the past few months. Simply just trying to move house. So yeah, things got, I thought we were going to move a lot quicker than we did. Then we finally did move house. Didn't have any internet. Nothing was set up properly. So I had all of this, I've got this episode and another couple ones pre-recorded, but I'm actually just doing the audio now. So yeah, it's pretty interesting looking back on it. This episode's pretty much all about building a kind of nightlife, pubs, clubs area. This one not so much inspired by Sydney, just because I kind of wanted to build something like this where it's a main street, which I'm building at the moment, simple road and a tram line that runs along the quay. And this is going to be like the main street where everyone goes out. In Sydney, this used to be called the King's Cross, which is not really near the water, but that's where you would go to go out clubbing and dancing and everything. That's, you know, Sydney hates people dancing, so that's pretty much long gone. So this is like just something that's inspired by myself, I guess. I thought it would be really cool and I would love to go there. It looks really nice. So yeah, and the area I'm building it in, it's kind of, I think when I first started this, I saved this area and I thought it was going to be a park, which I've just kind of gotten rid of. So that's now going to be filled with pubs and restaurants and cafes and hotels. We've got a big shopping mall there as well. I've got a lot of assets that I've added in that are a lot of pubs from Sydney, which is awesome. So there's a lot there. And I've also got a lot of American assets as well, which I think these are the Memphis ones. So they're not really too Sydney, but they've got a real nightlife vibe with all the neon signs and smokers and stuff. So I thought that was cool. So I definitely added those in too. So yeah, just trying to get a feel for the area, just readjusting a lot of things. A lot of this is just really trying to figure out where everything is going to go. It is on a slight tilt, the land as well. Yeah, just trying to make it look decent without buildings just, you know, the ground coming up heaps harshly. So some of the assets didn't work properly. So you'll see me going through and then just deleting some, and you know, I reuse a lot of buildings as well, which is good because when you do pop them down, some of them just change colour and they look pretty different. I love this Art Deco style so much, and the Macca's one is just perfect. So I'm definitely, this is not the first time I will be placing down that McDonald's, that's for sure. And yeah, just trying to fill out the spaces as well with a lot of residential buildings. We definitely need more residents in this city, just to keep it going. So I just got to keep remembering to put down residential buildings to fill it all up. As the blocks are quite large, I do have to put in lots of little laneways as well, just to fill out the space. And you know, in Sydney there is a lot of little back alleyways and laneways and running behind the other buildings, so and it just looks more realistic as well, I think, just adding those in. So yeah, you'll see me adding in a lot of little roads. Yeah, just shuffling them around. It did take me a while to kind of get this area to feel right. I think this is probably, it took me about 2 days, so all up probably about 5-6 hours of footage shortened down to a 20-30 minute video. So it does take a while. And yeah, I guess this isn't going to be the only nightlife area in the city, of course. I mean, I would say this is going to be the main one. So, you know, if you were to travel into the city, if you didn't live in the area, you would know that this is the place you could go to. So there will be other areas where, you know, you'd be able to go to, but this would be the main one. So it's going to be a little bit grimy. There's just going to be lots of old ones, new ones, you know, old industry buildings that have been turned into theatres as well. So I have been popping I have been plopping down a few theatres as well. So also I'm just going through and changing up the lines, turning off some of the crosswalks as well on this road, just because I want the traffic to flow quite easily on this road. So I'm just reducing the amount of crosswalks there are. And of course, we need to add a lot of parking. I don't really want a lot of people parking on those roads. I think it's gonna just look a lot better having them park behind all these buildings. So there is a lot of parking that I'm adding. I love using these little assets. They're amazing. I think for me, this is what, I mean, you probably noticed that I use these all the time. Just the little 3 parkings and then just kind of turning it into what I want it to be. So there's so many parking options on the Steam Workshop, but for me, I just think this works the best. Gives me the most freedom. Yeah, so these ones I've just been putting down everywhere, trying to fill up all the blank concrete space. So I feel like that's a really good way to do it. And it also just gets people on those little back streets as well. So if you don't give the little sim people a reason to go back there, they're not going to. Same with the little paths. So you'll see me every now and again drawing like a path over the concrete, and it is invisible, but it's actually the sims won't walk on that concrete unless you give them a reason to. So if there's no building there, they're not going to walk directly into the door. So I have just, I haven't done it yet, but I do add a lot of little paths just so I can see them walking around through the buildings. It just makes me feel a bit better and makes it look a bit more realistic. So yeah, you'll see that kind of towards the end. We pretty much decided where all the buildings are at this point, so I'm just detailing everything. Adding in the fences, deciding what's a pub, what's a restaurant, and just designating their own little areas where I can put down all their tables and chairs and gardens, and yeah, just making everything their own little area. So this is the part that I really do enjoy, is just actually detailing it and making it seem more realistic, yeah. just placing a lot of the decals down just to make it look a little bit more used. I love adding these. It really brings the area to life a bit more. Yeah, just really love adding these down. Now, I do want to mention as well that like I usually did post a video every week. I am still going to try and do that, but don't hold me up to it. So I'm just gonna try and pump out what I can. I've got a few episodes already. I'm gonna try and space them out. So I'm thinking it's probably gonna be every fortnight, just because I have just moved house and it's a little bit hard to find the time to sit down and record and even just play the game. Unfortunately, I really miss just sitting down and relaxing. There's so much stuff. We've just moved into a house from a unit, so it's pretty empty. We're trying to get some furniture, and we've got a big garden now as well, and yeah, I mean, it's awesome, but yeah, we just need to spend a lot of time trying to get things sorted out. So yeah, definitely won't be the schedule that I had before. Hopefully it goes back to it, but at this point probably not. But yeah, just doing some final detailing here. You can see I'm just adding a lot of tables and chairs as well out the front of the buildings. So you'll see people sitting behind them in the, you know, the back courtyards, but I really do like seeing people sit out the front. Also just adding in these light rail stops. So those light rail signs are very iconic to Sydney. They're, you know, buses, light rails, trains, they all have these little circle lollipop signs. So popping down these actual shelters that are on the workshop, because I really don't like the in-game vanilla ones. They look really bad. And of course these awesome billboards. I've added so many billboards to my asset collection. Just makes it look so much more realistic. I really don't like the vanilla ones, so I do cover those up quite a bit. We're doing some planter boxes here. Always a good way to fill up space as well. And I'm just trying to remember as well where I added in those paths. So as you saw before, I did do those invisible paths. And yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure that where I put the planters, they're not going to be covering that up, so people aren't just disappearing into gardens. So that was a little bit tricky. I should have done this before the paths, but here we are. At the moment, my city's pretty small, which is good, but I'm kind of worried about how my computer is gonna handle it once it gets bigger. I keep thinking about it, because every time I do the cinematic shots, I use the cinematic camera, but I have to slow it down so much and then speed it up when I'm editing to make it not lag. So it's getting worse every episode. It's getting a lot worse. I ended up getting a mod as well where, I'm not sure if it's the next episode, it might be the one after, that I've just added, where it's the realistic walking speed for people, because they're so fast. The vanilla speed is just crazy. Even when I slow it down, it looks good, but then the cars don't match up to the speed as well. So in the next couple of episodes, hopefully that works out okay and doesn't affect the lag too much. But I'm hoping we can get, like, I want to complete the city and then move out from there. So I don't know how far we're going to go, but it would be good to do a lot. It might get to the point where I can build the city, but I can't do proper cinematic shots, and I might just have to do screenshots and upload it to my Instagram, which I really hope it doesn't get to that point. I've got a lot of assets. I've actually part of a lot of city skyline groups on Facebook, and I'm realizing when people are posting how many assets they've got, that I've got a lot. So I've got over 6,000 assets, and I do go through every now and again and cull them, but then I end up adding a couple more because I'm already in the Steam Workshop. It's just a nightmare. So I'm gonna have to try and figure something out. You know, this is something where it's a trial and error. I really wanted to build a city-style city, so, you know, we'll see how far we get down the track. I'd like to do other style cities. I'd really, really like to do a sort of, I guess, a Pittsburgh kind of style. I really love the nature around there and the buildings. The houses are so cool. So that's something that I'd love to do in the future. Not sure if it's going to be maybe a city, like a big city, maybe something a bit more rural, but yeah, that would be good. So I've got to try and maybe think of something a bit more smaller down the track. But yeah, anyway, as you can see, I'm just doing some back of building graffiti. I'm doing them in PO because that's probably where the best graffiti assets are. They're tiny when you load them in, and then you've just got to stretch them out. One of them I think was so small, and I was just stretching it out for so long, wondering if it's actually there or not. But yeah, this just really makes it look a little bit more grungy behind the buildings and just where the alleyways are. So gotta remember to always add this in. There's always street art and, you know, graffiti and tags in all cities, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, definitely in Sydney they're there. And now that we're in the nighttime mode, this is where I go through and I pop down my string lights, I pop down all my other little street lights and lamps, everything, and just make sure that it looks good when it's nighttime. Especially because in the city, it's so lit up. So I can't forget that. Maybe when we move out of the city, it won't matter as much, but for here, with most of the builds I have been doing, that the lights really do matter. I don't know what happened with these assets of the circular key section, but I realized that the lighting on the assets isn't right. So there's 3 they've placed down, and you can see one of them's blue, one of them's orange, and one of them just doesn't have lights at all. I don't know why. I think the asset might be a little bit broken. It's already there, so I'm not going to mess around with it too much, but I've just added my own lights on the actual decks just to make it look like there's actually some sort of use for those buildings, because it really does annoy me when I look over there. It's too late, they're already there. But I accidentally saw it while I was doing it, and I'm like, oh no, that's not right. So just added some lighting over there. But yeah, so anyway, I'm just touching up a few things, fixing up a bit of the details, and just putting it in live as well, just to see how the city works. So, you know, you'll see people walking around now, the tram's going and the cars are going. So I just kind of fix up everything that doesn't look right. But yeah, pretty much this is the end of the episode. So I do have some cinematics that aren't glitchy for you. So really appreciate you watching again another episode. Check out my Instagram as well. I do post some cool screenshots on there of the city that might not be in the videos. But yeah, take care, peace out, and I'll see you soon. Bye.